Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt here for another round. So, parents, if you're watching this, I'm here to talk about the DBT mindfulness how skill, the second of the how skill, which is one thing at a time or one mindfully. I'm going to go ahead and talk about let's look at how this is all made up. So we have DBT, we have dialectical behavioral therapy, and one mode of treatment in that is skills training. And the purpose of skills training is to enhance capabilities and to learn new things. So there's these 5 modules in DBT. 4 if you're an adult doing DBT. 5 if you're working with an adolescent. So under mindfulness, under the mindfulness module, we have wise mind, which we reviewed. We have the what skill, which is observe, describe, participate, which we reviewed. And we've done the how skill, and we've talked about non-judgmentalness. And now we're going to talk about the next part of the how skill, which is one mindfully. Studies are clear. To do one thing at a time is the most effective way to live a mindful life. And as a parent, we want to have a lot of relational mindfulness. We want to put as much into our relationship with our child, adolescent, or young adult as we can. So we're going to want to do one thing at a time as opposed to many things. So this means that in any activity that we're doing with a family member or a loved one, we're going to want to be doing that activity with them and no other activity. We can demonstrate to them that we are completely in and that we are interested. And we also non-verbally communicate our commitment to them by doing so. So there's a number of ways that we can participate one mindfully. And the best way to do that is just to go one thing at a time and have a conviction that doing multiple things at once is actually a waste of time and that it's the opposite of what we think it is. We have been taught, some of us, that to multitask is a quality. To do many things at once is a sign of skill. I'm going to contend with no, it's not a skill. What it is you've learned how to succeed in chaos effectively, and by continuing to live your life constantly multitasking, you are basically saying that I'm going to commit myself to a life of disorder and chaos is what you're trying to do. You're trying to master the art of living in chaos and disorder. So if you want to live in a peaceful, if you want to live a peaceful lifestyle that involves qualitative experiences and peak experiences and qualitative relationships and relationships worth having, which is the purpose of this, is let's get in the habit of interacting with people one mindfully. There are some things that get in the way of this. The first thing is the temptation to do something else when feeling bored. So while we're interacting with a family member, we might feel a little restless, and then we feel this need to sweep the floor or to look on our phone or to walk around or to do something else. These urges are usually a sign that the content or the subject matter that we're hearing about might be a little unpleasant, or that we need to strengthen our focus and our concentration. And we're, instead of focusing on the activity that we're talking about, we're trying to steer ourselves in a direction of, we're trying to distract ourselves with something more pleasurable. The problem with this is that we actually don't enjoy the thing that we're doing as much as we can because somebody's interacting with us. And this person who's interacting with us might go to extremes to try to get us to engage them. So that's one. So I would recommend when you're doing an activity or listening to a family member or a loved one or anyone, just do that. Don't be on your phone. Don't be doing another activity. Don't turn and start typing. Don't start looking at something else and fiddling. It's not pleasant. So don't do that. Another temptation is to detach in our mind and to detach in our thoughts. So this is this voice in our head to where while someone's talking to us, we might appear on the surface like we're paying attention, but inside our head we're starting to drift and we're starting to not focus at all. And we might just kind of, okay, and then as we're hearing that, we're totally zoning out. That can be even worse than doing an activity, because then we're sending a social signal to people that we're paying attention to them. But in fact, we're not grasping any of the material. So then when we don't pick up the cue, when we don't pick up what the person's saying later down the line, for example, if my son is telling me, Dad, I really want you to come to my swim meet. I want you to see me swim. And I'm there and I'm just saying like, okay, yeah, okay. And I'm actually thinking about work or something else. And then I go to work and I start working and I think I've had a good day, but I missed the swim meet. And my son's interpretation is, I told my dad to his face I wanted him to come to the swim meet, and he didn't even show up. I come home from work. My wife is upset with me because I didn't go to the swim meet. She says, why didn't you go to the swim meet? And I said, it just wasn't really on my radar. Now I'm coming across as a family member who just doesn't care. So to stay focused in our mind. And what that means is that we have to actually switch our gears up here and control the mind and actually spend time listening to what people are saying and have faith that all the little things that we feel like we should be paying attention to is just nonsense. The thing that we should be paying attention to is right in front of us. And that's why it's right in front of us, because it's what we need to pay attention to. Something else that can be a distraction up here are emotions. If something has happened in the past or in the future, well, something we think is going to happen in the future, we might have an intense emotion about it, anxiety about the future. Maybe we're upset about the past, or we feel angry, or we feel sad. These emotions can tug on us. We want to redirect that emotion, and we want to focus on where we are right at the moment. This is how we do one thing mindfully. A question I often get is, well, what happens if you can't focus because of something that you really need to pay attention to, or something that you're feeling from within, or a thought you're having? What happens if it's just it's overwhelming you? Well, I would say just be honest to what's going on. So if I'm interacting with my son and he says, Dad, I really want you to come to my swim meet, and I say, hang on, I want to listen to you, but I'm having the hardest time paying attention right now. I am just thinking about work, and I think it's because I just need to send a quick text. And when I send that text, I'm going to power off my phone, and then I'm going to totally be with you. Over time, that might be a source of contention, but to do it just this once could be helpful. And this is what it means to do things one mindfully. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and week. Bye-bye.